Call the meeting to order. Late items, CAO, none. Approval of agenda. Recommended resolution that the agenda for the regular meeting of October 19th, 2021 be approved. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second? Do I have a second? Thank you.
Sorry.
Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Minutes of previous meeting, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 5th, 2021 be adopted. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Petition and delegations is none. Correspondence. The recommended resolution is that the correspondence A to C be received. Does anybody on council want a correspondence pulled? No? Okay, so the correspondence to A to C, pardon me, be received. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Council report. Reports of committees. Mayor's report. What I would like to say is officially this is our CAO's last week. And I wanted to make public that we wanted to thank her very much for everything that she has done for us. And it's sad that it's only been a year with us, but I understand the fact that she needs to be with family. And we just want to wish her all the best and thank you. Unfinished business? None.
BCAA, we provide personalized home insurance for whatever life throws at you.
I'm sorry, we're getting a lot of background noise. So whoever has a TV on or whatever, could you please turn that off? Thank you. So staff reports, we'll turn it over to the CAO.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Baker. The item relates to the community-to-community forum with the Comox First Nation, and the intent, as we've discussed in past, is to consult on the draft OCP. This is a requirement of the Local Government Act, and also we have received a grant to provide for this forum. Generally, a community-to-community forum is intended to build a relationship between local government and a First Nation so that there can be a better understanding and so each party can look at options for reconciliation, and it's an opportunity for the village to identify some ways to participate in reconciliation. So the First Nation has indicated that they're available with only very limited times because they're in the final stages of their own treaty and are quite busy. So what's proposed is the date on November the 16th from 10:30 till 1 in the afternoon. Generally, the forum involves a guest speaker and a meal because, of course, food is an important part of all cultural opportunities. And so we'll find a way to provide for that. And in fact, that's what the grant is for, is to support that kind of opportunity. So staff tonight are seeking council support for the dates, which is, again, November the 16th from 10:30 till 1:30, and that the C2C forum be received for information and discussion by council. And of course, if there's any questions, I'm available to answer those too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the recommended resolution is that the C2C form staff report to receive for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
I second it.
Discussion? Councillor Paulson?
Oh,
Your hand up?
do I?
That's
I
okay.
know I just seconded something.
Okay, thank you. So discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. And another recommended resolution is that the virtual C2C forum be held November 16th from 10:30 a.m. till 1:30 p.m. with the Comox First Nations. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second it.
discussion. So the date works for everyone?
No, I can't commit to those dates. I might be working.
Okay, you can let us know then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do my best to make it work, but I can't guarantee it right now.
Okay,
Same reason, work.
okay, thank you. Counselor Polson, Counselor Kirschner?
Works for me.
And also for me.
Okay, thank you. So discussion, opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. B, revision to council procedure bylaw 416. CAO?
Thank you, Mayor Baker. This staff report is proposing that council consider an amendment to the procedures bylaw based on feedback we've received from the public. You'll recall that earlier this year, a number of revisions were made to the procedures bylaw to clarify how correspondence would be managed and some of the other requirements for virtual meetings. And at that time, council had determined to move the public question period to the end of the meeting in order to facilitate efficiency of the business of council and to provide for an opportunity for citizens to hear and listen, but not necessarily participate in the discussions. And so staff have heard from, and possibly you have as well, but staff have heard from a number of citizens that they're unhappy with this, that there's a sense that they're not able to participate. And I know from talking with all of you that participation and accessibility, transparency, those are all really important things to you. And so this might be something you might want to reconsider in order to provide for that opportunity for citizens to feel like they can participate and listen in on the meetings and have their opportunity to ask questions at the beginning. So that is the summary of it. Should council decide to support that or to move that question period back to the beginning, it would require an amendment to the procedures bylaw because the procedures bylaw follows the direction of the Local Government Act and Community Charter, which lists the requirement to list the order of an agenda. So therefore, it would be necessary to amend the agenda order by amending the bylaw. So that is the purpose of this staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. So the recommended resolution is that the revisions to council procedure bylaw number 416 staff report be
You cut out, Mark.
Sorry, we're having technical issues here.
Okay.
Can council still hear me?
Now we can.
Now,
Now you can? Okay. I'll read it again. Recommended resolution is that the revisions to the council procedure bylaw 416 staff report be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Polson?
I would like to speak against this motion. We made the decision earlier in the spring based on a long history of disruption and discord at the beginning of the meetings and complaints from other people that were sitting in the gallery listening. And the order of proceedings and business listed in this staff report has letter F. There's a place for petitions and delegations. And so I think if a group or a person wants to come before council with a delegation and present the information, then that would be the time to do it. And I know it hasn't always been on the agenda that there was a time for people to speak at the beginning, and there still is a time at the at the end for them to speak, and I would oppose this being brought forward again.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes,
Discussion? Sorry, Councillor Kirschner?
I'm in complete agreement with Councillor Polson. Did you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, I could hear you.
Okay.
Is there more you want to add to that, or is that it?
No, it was kind of a real harebrained thing that happened and that we changed it, and it's been going really well, and I'd like to keep it that way.
Okay, Councillor Craig?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I also agree with Councillor Polson and wish to say that I would vote against this motion.
Okay, Councillor Tinsley?
I agree with Councillor Paulson's points. It's a very good points about the opportunity for petitions and delegations at the beginning, and then leaving it the way it is. So I would vote against it as well.
Okay, well, I guess I'm the only one that's in favor of having the 2 question periods, one at the beginning and one at the end. I think it's good for the public to have that opportunity to speak. It can be controlled if somebody is getting out of hand or belligerent or what have you. That can be controlled, and they can be asked to leave if they don't change the tone. I personally appreciated it when under John McDonald, we had the question period at the beginning. I thought it was most times it was really quite productive. So I'm in favor of the motion. So now we will, that was just bringing it in for a discussion. So opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
No, this is just receiving, hang on a sec.
Oh.
This is just receiving the report.
No, I
Oh,
think we voted on that already.
yeah.
Have we?
Yeah, for
Okay,
information
sorry.
and discussion, and now
I
we're discussing.
apologize. So
That's
then
all right.
council direct staff on the next step to revise council procedure bylaw 416. That's not going to happen. So that's not there. So opposed was everyone except me. Is that correct? Opposed?
Yes, I'm opposed.
Okay, and I'm in favor.
Sorry, Mayor Baker, can I?
Motion defeated.
Actually, Mayor Baker, there isn't an actual motion to vote on. The motion would have had to been crafted by council.
Oh, I
should
see.
they wish to amend
Okay.
the bylaw. So
So there's no wish to amend the bylaw?
No,
Okay,
unless you wanted on the record that there was a vote taken towards a motion that you would have to craft, and then it would show, but
sure.
otherwise.
We'll put that on the motion.
Okay, so then the motion could read that council directs staff to include the public question part, to include the public question period at the beginning as it's,
Correct. And that's defeated 4-1.
okay. We'll get that in the minutes.
Okay. Sorry, folks. C, Community Resilience Investment Grant. It's the Curbside Wood Debris Chipping Initiative. And we'll wait for the CAO there.
Thank you. This was very kindly completed by Sean Koopman, the emergency coordinator, who is the one who applies for all of our grants for emergency related things. And this is a grant to provide fire smart education, provide free curbside wood debris chipping, and some wildlife fire training for the Sayward Fire Department. What the SRD requires is a resolution from council in order to be able to access the grant funds. And so that is the resolution that's included on page 46 of your agenda.
Thank you. Recommended resolution that the Community Resilience Investment Grant staff report be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second that.
discussion? Opposed? Sorry, discussion, Councillor Paulson?
I just wanted to comment on the success of last year's curbside road debris chipping. And I think based on how it worked last year, that it would be good to do a little bit more publicizing and I know we were very happy with what was chipped up in no time flat and removed from our premises. So I think it's a very good program to have in effect.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kushner, you have your hand up. Sorry, you're muted as well.
Sorry about that. I agree with Councillor Polson that it was very nice that the way they cleaned it all up, so we didn't have to worry about it at all. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Next is the Village of Sayward. Approve submission of grant application for the 2022 Community Resilience Investment Grant Program and managing the project is successful in obtaining grant funding. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second it.
discussion? Opposed? Councillor Kirschner, you have your hand up. Are you opposed or? And you're muted. There we go. Okay. And motion carried. Revision to motion R21-238 water metering. CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. This item is on your agenda because council requested that the bylaw or the resolution passed at your previous meeting be put on the agenda for rediscussion. And I think Councillor Polson had requested this, and so that is the background for why this report is on here.
Thank you. Recommended resolution that the revision to motion R21-238 water metering staff report be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second. Whoops.
discussion? Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay. Hearing one opposed, motion carried. And that the motion 21-238 be revised to read as following. That the water metering bylaw be developed for council's consideration to require the installation of water meters for all commercial and industrial water users and all new construction, so that when water meters are installed community-wide, water use will be measured for everyone, promote water sustainability and equity in billing. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
I'll
Second.
it.
Thank you. Discussion? Opposed?
Wait, sorry, hand's
Oh.
not quite up.
Sorry, Councillor Craig?
Yeah, I actually have some things to go over here. I'd like to just draw the people's attention to a couple of things. This is a BC Hydro bill. I know you can't probably see it, but this BC Hydro bill was from October 2nd, 2008. The one previous to that in my hand was August 1st, 2008. Now, what's different about these bills is the one on August 1st, 2008 had a basic step usage charge of 0.065 per kilowatt. The one on October the 2nd, BC Hydro instituted a step 1 and a step 2 charge. So some bureaucrat somewhere decided to make a little extra money by increasing usage charges by making a step system. So they went from being a basic electric charge to a 2-step system. And that was somewhere approved way back in October 2nd, 2008. Since that time, step 1 and step 2 has increased from 0.072 to 0.14. It's a whopping increase. Now, going forward from that, some bureaucrat decided to do that and they approved it, and it's never gone back. It's only ever going to go up. The step system was just a way to chintz more money out of people. Now, going forward with that, the town of Ottawa, the city of Ottawa, sorry, they had a water billing increase in 2021 of 4.8%. They have a timetable here where they have a 26.8% over 5-year rate increase every single year. 2017, they went up 5.8, 2018, 5.5, 2019, 5.5, 2020, 5%, 2021, 4.8%. Funny thing about them is they also have a tier system. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. Their basic tier 1 is 0.85, 85 cents per. Tier 2 is $1.70 per. Tier 3 is $1.87, and tier 4 is $2.09. The point that I'm getting at here is once you let the government regulate every aspect of your life, and including this particular one, it never goes away. They just keep making it worse and worse and worse and worse each and every single year. So we have a point at this particular point right here and right now to stop it before it ever starts, because once you start, it'll never go away. This is a very costly program. It's not without scandal. In fact, the mayor of Montreal, Gerald Tremblay, was investigated by the RCMP on an emergency water meter scandal, and he had to resign along with a bunch of his cabinet. So this is a program I'm not going to vote for. I don't agree with the concept of it. And once you have programs like this, they don't ever go away.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I just lost it. The hydro billing step 2 only came into place when they were over their 2 months of their regular usage. So it was an incentive for people to actually watch their water consumption. So that's what step 2 was in place for. Also, you have to have some faith in your local government, as long as there's still 5 people on local government, to be able to control those rates. Now, regardless if we have water meters or not, we are still going to have increases in our future.
Well,
And we're not talking about implementing water meters on the existing dwellings at this time. We're talking about new construction. We're talking about industry and commercial. That's what we're discussing at this point. But thank you for your comments, Councillor Craig.
Indeed.
I'm sorry?
I said indeed.
Thank you. So any other further discussion? Nope. So opposed?
Oh, I had some question.
Councillor Paulson.
Yes, I just wanted to say that on the property that I own in Port Alberni that went to the water metering system in 2012, and the costs were absorbed by the city, putting in the water meters, and it certainly made me more aware of conserving water so that I didn't go over the limit and make the costs higher. And to date, there has not been a step 2 implemented in the use of water. It's a basic pay the basic rate up to the maximum amount that is allowed per residence, and then the extra is added on to it. It's not a higher rate. So although I disagree with Councillor Craig's interpretation of that, I do agree that costs of everything go up, as the cost of garbage pickup or the cost of the running the hospitals or the police or anything. Those, it's in the nature of the work with new equipment needed and increase in wages. Prices always seem to be going up. So, you know, I think that, like, even our taxes, our village taxes are programmed to go up 2.5% a year for the next few years. I think, I can't remember how many years it is, but It's all based on the services that we use and how much of that we access. And I think if we can implement something that's going to make people aware of conserving a natural resource or having to pay for the overusage, then it's a positive thing for the village.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Nope. Hearing none. So for the motion, opposed?
Opposed?
Councillor Craig. So one opposed, the motion is carried. Financial statement variance report to September 30th, 2021. CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. This is a quarterly report that shows the difference in what you have approved to be spent and procured and what has actually happened. And it's a 3-month variance report. If you have any specific questions, the CFO is here and can answer every detail you would want to know about this report. Thank you.
Anyone on council have any specific questions regarding the variance report? Okay, so that the financial statement variance for September 30th, 2021 staff report be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Shared fire service. CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. This staff report relates to the proposed revisions to the shared fire service with the SRD, and it is to obtain council direction on next steps. You'll recall that when council reviewed the report some months ago, staff were directed to promote the option C, the option which was to strengthen the current situation, strengthen the current relationship with the SRD, the area director that we share this service with. And so staff were directed to write a letter and see if the area director was available to meet to discuss the financial plan. The area director has since informed staff and the council that he is not available, and I'd like to turn it over to the mayor to finish because the mayor has had a more recent discussion with the area director on this proposal.
Yeah, I've spoken both with the CAO of the SRD, and I had a conversation as I suppose the rest of council has had as well with Director Wally from Area A regarding this. Director Wally's would like to see us go ahead with furthering the study for the SRD to complete the study to show the options that are available to us and him. Some concerns, of course, that the area director has is under the current system, he is not given a equal vote on what happens. Now, I do understand his concern in that matter. However, we're with the municipality or municipal government, it doesn't work to where the mayor and the area director can sit down, negotiate terms for the contract, and walk away that meeting with the contract secured. Anything that the mayor does in that point does have to come back to council for approval. I do agree with Director Wally in the fact that we should let the SRD explore this on the next study and see exactly what it does mean to us financially and long term. We can go through that. However, I'm not, in my personal opinion, I would not be up for us giving up Hall 1 to the SRD or the assets that we have spent all those thousands of dollars on. So now I understand that you folks have been contacted by Area Director Wally. So we'll start with Councillor Polson. Do you have any comments on this?
Did we move receipt of it first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Recommended resolution is that the Shared Fire Service staff report be received for information and discussion.
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Councillor Polson?
Okay. I spent a lot of time reading through this executive summary, And I wished I'd had more time to digest it more fully. But what I got out of it at the end was that $10,000 was wasted, in my opinion, to do this. Not survey, but to do this report up. And I don't find any of the A, B, or C suitable. I think the one where it just flips over, where SRD is controls the service, and the village becomes a purchaser of the services, is just a flip of what we have now, where the SRD pays us for the services. What I would wish is that the SRD and the village could communicate and collaborate and work on this together, so that we have a joint a fire service. And I think if the SRD and the village got along, as well as the firefighters that are doing a common job for the valley and the village, if got along the way they get along, if the village and the valley could get along like that and communicate and collaborate, it would make for a much more productive process, and not have all this animosity that I read through this whole report. So my opinion, my choice would be to have the SRD come together and attend meetings and have their say, not just say that they're never consulted or communicated with, except for some budgetary items. But in order to do that, people have to come together. You can't just say that I'm not involved, I don't make any decisions. But if you don't attend the meetings or have any input, then of course, it was really disappointing to read this study and hear all the negativity. And I think having a joint fire service would do a lot to bring the village and the valley closer together, to work together and collaborate together.
Thank you. As I mentioned, Director Wally is not interested in any service that he does not have 50% of the vote on. And that's what the difficulty is now for him. As area director, he feels he doesn't have any input or any ability to vote. He's just basically told this is what's going on. So, Councillor Craig, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I actually have a couple. I'm confused about something. I also have had several conversations with Mr. Wally, Director Wally, and he's informed me that on September the 8th, there was a motion at the SRD that reads as follows: that the concept of a sub-regional service model for fire protection through the regional district be investigated for the village of Sayward and the Sayward Valley, following which that a further report be prepared to the board's consideration. It's my understanding that you voted in favor of that motion from Director Wally. So
yeah, council was already made aware of that.
right,
Also, the fact that it is for.
It's my turn to talk, sir.
Oh, I apologize, Councillor Craig.
Thank you. And now you seem to be advocating for a different approach, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. However, I have read through all this, and on our page 77 here, the village has several options. They listed 1, 2, and 3. Well, option number 2 of do nothing and only consider next steps if and when the SRD completes its own work. Well, that's not really applicable because there's already been a vote at the SRD on it that's been carried. Having said that, in these three options listed, there should be option number 4, which is implement the SRD local service. And option number 5 is implement the SRD sub-regional service. Now, upon speaking with Director Wally, we did go over on page 84, option B and option C. And Director Wally has favored option C, as do I. And the reason why he's favored it is because he's extending an olive branch to have an equal and mutual respect for both the village and the valley, to have an equal share and an equal say in everything. Now, he is well within his prerogative to start his own fire department, and quite frankly, he will take almost every fireman that we have on his fire department, and he's got the funding for it, and he's got the reserves for it. Quite frankly, he's got all the cards, and I don't believe that if the village had to start its own fire department, we would have the resources or the manpower. But Director Wally does have all of that. So for him to give us option C on the table and have an equal 50-50 share, I think is his version of being monogamous to us and trying to strengthen our relationship. And that's what I have to say, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Councillor Tinsley. Councillor Tinsley, do you have any comment?
Sorry, yeah, my mic was off. I would agree with Councillor Craig. I think it's a situation where it's important that these important resources be brought together and that there be an equal sharing of the votes. And it's such an important service, and given the dynamics we've talked about in terms of volunteers, resources, I think it's important for us to move forward on that. Thank you.
Councillor Kirschner.
I'm kind of two minds with this, but Mr. Wally did phone me today to talk to me, but the major stumbling block with him is he only gets one vote, and seems to kind of irk him, I guess. But in any case, I'm not with him.
Right, thank you. And as I mentioned at the beginning comments, his concern, as was pointed out again by Councillor Craig, is the fact that he only gets one vote. But I'm not sure if Councillor Craig or anybody realized the vote that was done with the SRD was for a study to be done. It was not something that the village committed to under any circumstances. And no different if we continue on with the second part of the study for another $10,000 to the SRD. Again, it is nothing that the village is held to. It's a study to show all the options that are available. Plain and simple, cut and dry. So we have a couple options here. Is we can go ahead and let the SRD know that we could they could continue on with the study, and then we could see where everything falls. Once the study is done, then we were able to sit down, go through it step by step, and see exactly what they're proposing and what can be negotiated. Mm-hmm. Now, at that time, Gerald Wally would like the mayor and him to sit, go through it, and then I'd bring it back to council on what was agreed upon or what he's willing to agree upon, and then it would be up to council to make that decision. So if we're opting for the SRD to continue on with their survey or their study, that's what I'm hearing from most of the councillors. Is that correct from Councillor Craig, Councillor Tinsley?
No, Mr. Mayor, I actually would like to just vote on option C right here and right now.
We don't have all the information. Why would we do that? In conversation that I had with the CAO of the SRD, if we become a shared service, automatically we lose all the assets that we've paid for. We lose Hall 1, would automatically go to the SRD. So we lose that building. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Councillor Craig, but until we have everything laid out in black and white, we should not be making that decision at this time. Councillor Polson?
I would like to move that we table this motion until the next meeting, so we've had more time to research and look into the it's a lot of information to try and process from Monday when I picked up my agenda until tonight, and I would like to table it until the next meeting so we can have further discussion.
Okay, thank you. Does Councillor Craig agree with that?
I do.
Councillor Tinsley?
I agree.
Councillor Kirschner?
I agree. But this
Okay.
is just, yeah, this is just a study though.
That's correct. We're talking about
Yeah.
just a study, but what Councillor Polson's suggesting is everybody take some more time,
Yeah.
get some more information, have a chance to read through the first study, and we'll bring it back to the next meeting and decide if we're going to ask the SRD to continue with the next study. That's what's on the table.
I don't
Yes.
think there's any such thing as too much information. So yeah, I'll be willing to go along with that.
I agree. Okay, thank you. Then this would be tabled till the next council meeting. CAO?
Thank you, Mayor Baker. I think also one of the things that council might want to consider is a slight amendment to the second recommendation that's on your staff report right now. What we hear from Area Director Wally is that he's seeking council support to consider option C in the report. So that's the sub-regional service, which is pretty much what we have now, except it would be managed by the SRD versus the village. And
Point of order. Point of
so-
order. This motion has been tabled.
sorry, Councillor Polson,
Oh,
this is
sorry.
referring to a different motion. This was a different resolution on the staff report.
Have we voted on, have we passed it? Like, I'm just moving to table this whole thing so that this discussion can be tabled until the next meeting, and the information that you're providing now could be brought up at that next meeting.
Yes, that's right. All I was doing was clarifying the other option so that when you have the information, it's more clear. Right now, the resolution reads that council consider next steps if the SRD completes its work and costs, et cetera, on a single area A protection and or option C. So it just expands it to include that should you wish. But as you say, if it's tabled, the whole initiative can be reviewed later.
Thank
But
you.
as pointed out, Councillor Polson, just so you have more information to think about over the next 2 weeks, an amendment to the second part of that, as CAO was mentioning, is to put in and option C. Okay? So
Well, that can be brought up at the next meeting.
yes.
Thank
So do
you.
we need a resolution to move that to the next meeting? So can I have a resolution to carry the shared service, fire service discussion to the next council meeting, regular council meeting? So do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. G, motion to remove letters of patent. Hey, CAO. So first we'll do the motion to remove letters of patent for staff report to be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second? Discussion? Opposed?
Opposed?
To receive for information and discussion?
Yeah.
Very well. Oh, motion carried. And should council wish to proceed with the motion R21-231, staff suggestion the following. And the motion would be that citizens be asked the following question, and the question accompanied by mail-out survey on the proposed new fireworks bylaw. Do citizens support council investing resources to identify the cost, benefit, and process to remove the corporate statute of the village and turn it into an electoral area where water, sewer, roads, drainage services are provided by the SRD under guidance of a single area director with taxes paid to the SRD versus the village. Do I have a motion, please? Need a motion, please?
So you need a motion to have further discussion, or?
No.
Hmm.
Nope. This is, that discussion was passed with Councillor Craig opposing. Right now, what we're discussing is what you see in the black, dark, bold print, if that's the question you want sent out. Or if we still want to send out this with the fireworks survey. Now, we've already made a motion at the last meeting that we would talk about this during the strategic planning. However, I asked for this to be brought back because I still believe without us having any information to give the public, it would be considered irresponsible on our part for them to be able to call into the village office, ask staff what this question means, why we're looking at it, and the staff not being able to respond with any answers. Councillor Craig?
The original motion that was tabled and discussed and voted on last council meeting focused only on whether the discussion should be had, not the pros and the cons and the finances and everything else. It's whether the village was willing to discuss the matter. And if they voted, yes, we would like to discuss the matter, then you go on to the next step of finances, the pros, the cons, the ins, the outs. And that's the next step. What we voted on in the last meeting was just the permission to have a discussion. What you see in front of you, I believe, is contrary to good democracy. And that's why I'm opposed to rediscussing this motion at this point of time. Now, if nobody seconds your motion, then it falls and dies on the floor. So I would remind council that if nobody seconds it, you don't have to second the motion. It can just die on the floor.
Well, Councillor Craig, the problem when you do a motion, as you're well aware of, when you have a motion, you have a second, and then you have discussion. Discussion is where everybody has the opportunity to speak, opposed to the motion dying on the floor, contrary to democracy, as you pointed out. So, however, does anybody else have any discussion on that? Councillor Tinsley?
I'm about trying to provide information, and I believe that this more extensive description of what's involved will help citizens decide whether they're interested or not. I think we also have to look at whether survey results will guide exactly what further information we want to attain around this.
Okay,
That's my
Councillor
thoughts.
Kirchner. Councillor Kirchner, you're muted.
I'm still listening.
Okay. Councillor Paulson.
I am opposed to this also because listed on the on page 116 is the motion that was moved and seconded at the last meeting. And the question was very simple. It was, is there an interest in the citizens of the village of Sayward in obtaining more information about the difference between remaining a municipality or disincorporating? It wasn't about all of the providing, or the village having to provide all of that information at the time this survey goes out. If the answer comes back that the majority is not interested in having more information, then there wouldn't be a necessity to gather any information on council's part or the staff's part. So I think we've taken a very simple, straightforward question and turned it into a very complex, like I wouldn't know how to answer that question that's presented in the darker color. But if somebody asked me if I was interested in having more information about joining a regional district or remaining a municipality, I could say yes, because I wouldn't have all the information, so I have the choice to gather that or get that information from a public meeting. So I think that the question that's presented in the motion from the last meeting is what should be on the survey. That's my input.
Okay. So you believe we should still ask the question regardless of the fact that we have no answers provided? If they call and say, what does that mean? Is that correct?
I think what we're asking them is a simple question. Are you interested in finding out more information? We're not asking them if they're want more information about the benefits or the water rates or getting new infrastructure, that sort of thing, and the costs and everything. That's the information that the people that want to have more information are interested in having a discussion about it.
So what happens? I mean, we have just a little less than a year left in our mandate. If people come back and they do say this is something they're interested in doing or finding out more information on, this is a process that's going to take quite a long time. So shouldn't it be something that's a mandate for somebody who has, or the future council that has 4 years ahead of them, opposed to us with a year?
According to the motion and seconded and being passed last week, I think it needs to be included on the questionnaire.
That's not the question I asked.
Okay, you're browbeating now.
There's no
the question's
browbeating,
asked and
Councillor
answered.
Craig. Councillor Craig, point of order.
Just keep
You
grilling
put
it.
up your hand. We're not browbeating, we're having a discussion. That's democracy. So Councillor Kirschner, what's your opinion?
I'm certainly not in favor of going to electoral area. Not at all. I would like to stay the village.
Okay, so the question remains that the citizens be asked the following question. Is the motion, and the question would accompany by the mail out survey and the proposed new fireworks bylaw. Do citizens support council investing resources to identify the cost, benefits, and process to remove corporate status of the village and turn it into an electoral area where water, roads, drainage services are provided by the SRD under the guidance of a single electoral area director with taxes paid to the SRD versus the village? So we have a motion. We had a motion and we need a second.
Well,
I'm sorry, Councillor Paulson.
I won't second it on the basis that that's not the question that was agreed upon and voted on at the last meeting.
You can oppose it.
I can't oppose what?
You can oppose the resolution. We go to discussion, opposed, carried, or defeated. So do we have a second? Councillor Kushner?
What I would like to know for sure is what exactly are we voting on?
I'm sorry.
Because we're going around in circles here.
Yeah, we asked to have this amended where what we're voting on is this question going to go out in the fireworks survey to the public. That's what we're voting on. Not whether or not a question, whether this is reworded or what, but this particular question going out to the public with the fireworks survey. Does that clear it up, Mr. Kushner, or Councillor Kushner?
No, I don't understand what it has to do with the fireworks thing. Whether or not we're an electoral area or a village.
Councillor Craig felt if it was sent out with the survey, it would save cost. Is that not correct, Councillor Craig?
Actually, yes, that is correct. But Norm, just to clarify, all I asked for was for the village residents to ascertain whether they would like to have a discussion of whether to remain as part of the village or join the SRD. Now, that's up to the village residents to either say, yes, we'd like to have that discussion, or no, we don't want to have the discussion. We voted on that last meeting, and now it's been brought back again because the results of what we voted on the last meeting were not appealing to some. So the actual question here is whether things like this, motions like this, can be brought back again and again and just reworded when the answer is not to the liking of certain people. So you have to make a judgment call on this.
According to the Government Act, the mayor has the ability to bring back a motion 30 days from it being tabled. Is that not correct, Councillor Craig?
That is absolutely correct, but we don't
Okay,
have to
thank you.
endorse it.
Thank
We
you.
don't have to second it.
Excuse me. Okay, so we had a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion? Opposed? Councillor Craig and Councillor Paulson are opposed. So 3-2, motion's carried. Bylaw, ticketing bylaw 422/2021. Recommended resolution that the ticketing bylaw 422/2021 staff report be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion? On this bylaw, this is not including all the fines and the costs? Pardon me? It is. Now, the last meeting, I asked if everybody had a chance to go through the fines that were associated with the offense. Did everybody have that opportunity? Okay, so is there any offenses that stick out to, we'll start with Councillor Paulson, and name the offense and the amount that you would like it to be increased to, please?
No, I think from reading through the information that the amounts that are listed there are appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Craig?
No, I'm fine.
Councillor Kirschner?
I'm good with it.
Councillor Tinsley?
I'm good with it as well.
I would like to see on the noise control bylaw 342 from 2005, the fines state, like, for example, section 4.1, continuous and persistent noise that disturbs, amplified sound on 4.2, noise that disturbs 4.3, animal noise that disturbs, and construction outside permitted hours. Right now, those fines are $100 a piece. I think they should start at 100. And for example, on number 1, go from 100 to 1,000, depending on repeat offenses. The same thing on amplified sound disturbance, from 100 to 2,000, depending on how many offenses. And noise that disturbs, 100 to 200 to 2,000, again, based on how many offenses. and animal noise that disturb up to 500. And construction outside permitted hours at up to 500. Any disagreement with that?
Should be the same.
Sorry?
I would, these penalties were outlined in the explanation as why they arrived at the way they were, and I think that the amounts that are quoted are adequate.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so would Councillor Kirschner, do you agree with what I mentioned? Having a sliding scale on a lot of these based on how many offenses?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Craig, you have your hand up.
I'll support Councillor Paulson. I think the scale as is right now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Councillor Tinsley?
I think for any offense, a sliding scale is a reasonable proposition. I don't think it has to come to certain dollars, but I think a sliding scale is very, very reasonable.
Thank you. Do we need a motion on implementing a slide? Sorry, CAO?
Thank you. I was waiting for the vote to finish or the comments, but in fact, I don't think a sliding scale is appropriate. The bylaw that you have in front of you was reviewed and commented and revised by the lawyer. And you'll note on number 6 on the actual bylaw that in the case of a continuing offense, each day that an offense continues constitutes a new offense, and a separate ticket may be issued for each day that that offense continues. So it isn't actually doesn't provide for a sliding scale. The way the ticketing bylaw works is that they are ticketed for each offense, and that would be the role of the RCMP or whoever the agent is that's issuing them. And I don't think that looking at sliding scales is something that you can approve tonight, but if that's something that we'd have to take the bylaw back if that was something that you were fixed to.
If the lawyers said that that's not something that we can do, so the only thing that we can do is set the fine price. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So in terms of the noise bylaw, everybody's comfortable with keeping that at $100, or should that be increased? Continuous and persistent noise that disturbs. I believe that should, after warning, that fine should be at least $500.
I think that, oh, sorry, I put my hand up. I think that that is a subjective, like a noise that I might find loud and offensive may not be so by my neighbor. And so I don't know. A few years ago, there was a complaint during an emergency of a man creating a noise because he ran his generator so that he could continue to breathe with his breathing machine, and it offended the neighbors. And so they put in a complaint about the noise bylaw that his generator was too loud. So
right.
I think there has to be a limit on what can be construed as a noise that disturbs. So I don't agree to the having a higher fine. And
I believe, sorry, go ahead.
Well, it can lead to a lot of nitpicking and extra work for bylaw officers and RCMP. And, if I can pick up the phone and complain about my neighbor using his power saw at 2 p.m, like there's no time frames, or it's just a continuous and persistent noise that disturbs. So I think
that's valid. No, and the RCMP are not going to give a ticket to somebody who's using a generator so they can use their CPAP and breathe at night. But I do agree that until we have the noise bylaw cleared and settled, then you're, I believe you're right on that continuous noise. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. So the recommended resolution is that the ticketing bylaw number 422, 2021 staff report received for information and discussion. And that was a motion. Was that not correct? And that was passed? Nope. So we had a second. Could I get a second, please?
I'll second it.
Discussion. Opposed? I'm sorry, I heard a comment. Does somebody have something for discussion? No? Okay, opposed? Carried. And the ticketing bylaw 422 be given first, second, and third reading. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second,
Second it.
discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. 13, new business. There's none. Public question period. Maximum 15 minutes. The purpose of the public question period is to enable citizens to ask questions about the issues discussed by council during the meeting. Speakers are requested to limit their questions to one each. If time permits, everyone would have the opportunity to ask questions. Speakers may ask a second question. For the record, they would state their name and address. Do we have any questions?
Yes. Mr. Mayor?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Councillor Paulson has, who called?
No, it's John McDonald.
Oh, sorry.
It's
Mr.
me,
McDonald?
John McDonald.
John McDonald, go ahead.
Okay, John McDonald, 100 Dyer. I have a question of the mayor and council. And my question is in regards to these letters that you're sending out. First of all, you're elected by the community to govern. They've got the faith in you that you will govern. I don't see why you have to go back and ask a question if you're staying within your budget that you provided for the year. I don't see why you have to go back and ask a question if you're going to expend funds to look at something. And to go on, and I'm going to talk about Councillor Craig's motion from before, to go out to the public and ask them if they want to have, want you to look into the disincorporation of the village. And that's what it is, basically. I'm Joe Blow on the street. I'm not a person that's supposed to know anything. And if I see that, then I'm going to come back to council, to staff, and I'm going to say, what the hell is this all about? Why do you want to do this? You know, and the next thing I'm going to say, you're trying to hire a CAO. And do you think you're going to get a CAO in here when council's talking about disincorporating and the CAO comes in and knows that his or her job is going to be gone? You know, I think I don't know why council figures they have to go out and satisfy the few in regards to ask about the fireworks. You're satisfying a few people is all you're doing that have been complaining for years in regards to fireworks. It's already in your noise bylaw. It's already there. But why do you have to go out to ask the public this question? Why don't you govern? Why doesn't this council govern? Just govern. Do what you're supposed to do. Anyways, I've said enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody want to respond to that?
I do, because.
I'm sorry, Councillor Kirchner.
That's what I was getting at when I was trying to figure out exactly what the hell we were voting on. Because I couldn't see any purpose for it. Talking about discontinuing the village when that isn't what it was about originally. It was about bloody fireworks.
No, CAO?
Thank you, Mayor Baker. Just to clarify, the direction to staff to go out on the fireworks bylaw was based on a previous resolution. And as you know, it isn't an option to revise a resolution after 30 days. So this is direction to staff that was carried forward.
Yeah, it's two separate things, Councillor Kirschner. They were sending out the survey, and Councillor Craig would like the question regarding if the public wants more information about going to be an electoral area under the SRD, included with the survey on a separate piece of paper to save costs for the mail out.
I disagree with that.
I believe it's too late.
It is too late.
It's too late because you voted for it, Councillor Kirschner, at the last meeting.
I voted to discontinue or whatever the
No.
village.
No, you voted to have the question sent out to the public.
Okay.
Does anybody else want to comment on John McDonald's ask? No?
yeah.
Councillor Tinsley?
You know, I think Mr. McDonald makes a very good point. I think we are bound by the fire law, fireworks bylaw, as the CAO mentions. I think he makes an excellent point about the other question being on there, but I believe that's already decided. So, thank you.
Yeah, that has been decided. That point is, we're done discussing that issue. Pardon me? The only way that we can do it is by going back and removing the whole resolution. And I don't know if that's appropriate. Is that appropriate at this time?
No.
I'm sorry, somebody said no?
Is
It's John McDonald speaking again. I'm saying
Oh.
no because it's just, it's
Oh, I see.
not the proper procedure to do it.
Right.
All I
Okay.
was doing, making a statement that I think that this council should take the trust that the voters have given them and govern, and not decide they have to go out and ask questions of them every time that something's going on. So anyways.
Yep. Thank you. We have another question. Sorry, from the audience. State your name and address, please. Sorry, go there and press the button there.
Okay.
Sure.
That one?
Sherry Braun.
No, microphone's good. Okay, go ahead. Just speak into the mic, please.
Hi, Sherry Braun, 713 Ruby Road.
I'm sorry, can you hear her?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
My concern was with the disincorporation of the village of Saybrook. We have been through this before. Back in the early 2000s. The question was sent out similar to what you said, and there was such a backlash from both sides. I think the only way that you can do it is, as was suggested earlier, as to research that kind and have the answers available before you send out a question. I know that question has kind of been dropped, but that was my knowledge from before, is that it didn't go over well without the information available. And both communities, which is all Saybrook, it being a political thing between the SRD and the village, became a problem. And in that, more hesitation between the two political entities was creating more, for all citizens, more problems. So I was just saying, you're going to repeat what we'd already done and were unsuccessful without having the information available.
Thank you.
The other thing was to do, sorry. Go ahead. I'm done.
Thank you. We have no more questions from the public. So, thank you. Recommended resolution that the regular council meeting for,
I have one thing.
I'm sorry, CAO.
Sorry, Mayor Baker, we missed something. One of the bylaws, the permissive tax bylaw was overlooked on the last part.
Where was that? Sorry.
Very last item on the agenda. Under bylaws,
Okay.
the item number
Mhm.
12B.
12B, there we go. Okay, sorry, folks. So 12B, permissive tax exemption bylaw 477, 2021. Recommended resolution that permissive tax bylaw number 477, 2021 be given fourth and final reading. Do I have a motion, please? Second. Councillor Kirschner, it's up to you. Wes and Sue have to, Councillor Polson and Councillor Craig cannot vote on this.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion was carried. Sorry, folks, I missed that. Okay, now the recommended resolution that the regular council meeting for October 19th, 2021 be adjourned. Do I have a motion, please?
No move.
Second. Discussion. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Everybody have a good week. Thanks very much. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, all.